If you're hearing this, it isn't random. Something brought you here not by accident, but by a thread woven long before this moment. Maybe you felt it too, that quiet pull beneath the noise, that whisper behind the chaos. A soft sense that you've been here before, not in this place, but in this knowing. And now, it's calling again. This isn't the first time you've been asked to remember. It's simply the first time you're ready to listen. You are not broken. You are not behind. You have always carried a light, sometimes dimmed, sometimes hidden, but never gone. This message isn't here to convince you. It's here to recognize you, to remind you that you've already begun, that the search outside is ending and the journey within is opening. Take a breath. Let the noise fade. Let the weight drop from your shoulders. You are not here by mistake. You are here because something ancient within you is ready to awaken again. You've felt it before, haven't you? That strange stillness when you walked into a room, like the air itself shifted to meet your presence. Or maybe it was the number 777 appearing again and again, almost too often to ignore. A crescent shape in your palm that never made logical sense, but always made you wonder. These weren't accidents. They were invitations, whispers, echoes from something beyond the veil. Most people pass these things off as coincidence. They look away, scroll past, move on. But something in you paused, not because you needed proof, but because something deeper stirred. A memory not from this life, but perhaps from a time before you were taught to forget. That moment, subtle and fleeting, was enough to plant a question. What if this means something? What if I've always known? And maybe that's why you're here now. Not by search engine or algorithm, but by resonance. Because the truth is, you were never really looking for answers, you were waiting for recognition. For someone, something, to reflect back what you already carry inside. The ones who are marked don't always shine in obvious ways. They don't walk around declaring their power or wearing their wisdom. In fact, most of them move quietly through the world, carrying stories in their bones, light in their silence, depth behind their eyes. They've been through things not just externally, but within. And those inner thresholds, those invisible crossings, have shaped them in ways no one can fully explain. This isn't about being better. It's not about being chosen over others. It's about carrying a certain frequency, one that remembers the unseen, the sacred, the ancient. It's about living in a world of distractions, but sensing something more beneath the surface. Feeling the pull of a truth that doesn't shout, but hums in stillness. Have you ever felt like you were watching life from just outside the frame? Like you were here, but not quite here, as if your soul was tuned to a different signal, one you couldn't explain. That's not disconnection. That's the mark. That's what it feels like when the old world no longer holds your full attention. When the deeper current begins to call. You weren't meant to stay asleep. The restlessness you feel is a flaw, it's a compass. It's pointing you back to something lost but not gone. Back to the moment before forgetting. Back to the inner eye that sees without effort. Back to the voice inside that doesn't shout, but waits. And you're not alone. That's the most sacred part. There are others, quiet, kindred souls who have felt the same tremble in their chest, the same ache for something true. They've seen the signs too. The patterns, the numbers, the dreams that feel like messages from somewhere beyond time. They're out there, just like you, trying to remember. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to prove yourself worthy. The act of remembering itself begins to draw you together. Like magnets with matching frequencies. Like stars remembering how to form constellations. The signs are not there to impress you. They are there to awaken you. To remind you that something within you has always known. You are not crazy. You are not imagining things. You are returning. And as you begin to see again, not with your eyes, but with your knowing, you step into a different rhythm, a different kind of truth, one that doesn't need to be argued or explained, just lived. So if this resonates, even just a little, if your chest feels a little lighter or your breath deepens without you trying, take that as a sign. A simple yes from your soul. You don't need a roadmap, just the willingness to follow what feels real. Welcome back. You were never lost, only asleep. And now you begin again. They say the oldest truths are the ones most easily forgotten. Not because they were weak, but because they were powerful, so powerful they had to be hidden, protected, kept out of reach until we were ready. This isn't mythology. This is memory, and the memory is not just in books or scrolls. It lives in your breath, in your silence, in the space between your thoughts. Long ago, initiates knew this. They didn't chase miracles or seek to master others. They learned how to be fully, deeply, and without resistance. And in that state of presence, they touched something sacred. Not outside of themselves, but within. A vision beyond the eyes. A knowing beyond words. This wisdom wasn't lost. It was veiled. Guarded not by gates, but by the forgetfulness of a world that moves too fast and talks too loud. But every now and then, someone stops. Slows down, listens, and in that stillness, the veil begins to thin. If you're hearing this, it may be your time. You've been told to chase knowledge, to gather, to learn, to seek. But what if your deepest power isn't something to acquire? What if it's something you already carry and your only task is to remember? Like a flame buried under ash. Like a melody you've heard before in a dream you can't quite recall. The truth is, you don't activate your inner divine power by force. You don't earn it. You don't summon it with will. You soften. You become quiet enough to feel it. You let the world fall away just for a moment, and what's left is real. Still, alive, start small. Just breathe, not to control, not to achieve, but to be with yourself. Breathe as if every inhale is an invitation and every exhale is a surrender. Feel your body, not as a machine, but as a vessel alive with memory, humming with truth. This is not imagination. This is practice. This is sacred technique disguised as simplicity. The wisdom lives in how you listen, in how you allow, in how you return. As your inner world quiets, a new perception begins to emerge. It's subtle at first, like seeing movement through water or light through fog. You begin to sense layers beneath layers, the architecture behind appearances, the energy behind words. You begin to see, but not with your eyes, with your soul. This is not a gift given to a few. It is a birthright remembered by the ready. And you are ready not because you've mastered anything, but because you've surrendered enough to begin hearing what's always been speaking. Let the ancient wisdom rise again, not from the pages of old texts, but from the depths of your own being. It was never lost. It was waiting for this breath, this silence, this moment of remembrance. So close your eyes not to escape, but to see. Let go not to fall, but to return. And when you do, when you feel even a flicker of that inner light, you'll know the awakening has begun. There's a part of you that has always seen, not with the eyes that blink and focus, but with a deeper sense that never fully closed, not even when you forgot it was there. As a child, you saw with it all the time. You felt truth in places adults told you were empty. You looked at the sky and somehow understood things you didn't yet have words for. You didn't call it vision, you just knew. But slowly, the world taught you to trade that knowing for facts, to doubt what couldn't be measured, to silence your sense of the sacred in favor of what others could explain. And that deep seeing the eye behind your eyes began to fade, not because it died, but because it was drowned in noise. Still, it never left. This eye doesn't function like the others. It doesn't analyze or compare. It doesn't squint to see. It feels, it aligns. It senses the space beneath words, the vibration behind moments. It understands not by thinking, but by being. And the good news is it can be remembered. To awaken your spiritual vision, you don't need special tools or rituals. You don't need to chase mystical experiences or reach some grand enlightenment. You simply begin by returning to the place within you that already knows. And that journey begins in silence. Sit, breathe. Let the thoughts pass like clouds across the sky. Don't fight them. Don't follow them, just allow. In that soft allowing, you'll feel it, that ancient perception stirring again, not loud, not urgent, just present. And when it comes, it won't declare itself. It will simply show you. A feeling in your chest as someone speaks. A sense that the moment you're in is more than it appears. An image in your mind's eye that feels more like memory than imagination. This is not fantasy. It's the way your spirit speaks when the world stops shouting. The way truth reemerges when you stop trying to prove it. You'll begin to notice what others miss. The pattern behind coincidence. The clarity behind confusion. The sacred hiding in plain sight. And with time, you'll come to trust this seeing not as a power, but as a presence. A companionship that never left you, only waited for your return. Let yourself remember. Let yourself feel. Not because you need to achieve something, but because the remembering itself is healing. The spiritual vision is not a goal, it's a way of being. So close your eyes not to shut out the world, but to turn toward the one that has always been waiting inside you. Do nothing, force nothing. Simply be here. And in that quiet being, you may find it the eye that never forgot how to see. You were never meant to fight your way to the truth. The veil doesn't tear with effort, it dissolves with stillness. It fades when you stop chasing, when you stop searching for meaning in all the places that keep you running. Because the sacred has never been out there. It's been here, waiting, inside. So much of the world teaches us to seek, to strive, to prove our worth by achieving, understanding, ascending. But awakening is not a prize, it's a return. It happens not when you grasp harder, but when you finally let go. You don't need to see through the veil, you only need to stop reinforcing it. The moment you pause and stop demanding proof, something soft begins to emerge. It's subtle, like the light shifting in the early morning, like mist rising from a still lake. There's no drama, no explosion, just truth gently revealing itself. The illusion was never a wall. It was movement, distraction, the belief that you had to become something more than you are. But what if you did? What if you've always had everything you needed, every answer, every vision, every key? Let that land for a moment. What you're searching for is not waiting in another teaching, another technique, another spiritual achievement. It's been quietly pulsing in the background of your awareness. A presence, a knowing, a home. You may have glimpsed it already. In those moments of stillness when time felt like it stopped. When you looked up at the night sky and felt both small and infinite. When a stranger's words moved something ancient inside you. That's the veil dissolving. That's reality remembering itself through you. There is no final test to pass, no ladder to climb. Only the soft, courageous act of returning to yourself. And as you return, you see not with effort, but with ease. Not in flashes, but in gentle recognition. The sacred becomes familiar. The unseen becomes intimate. And the veil, it simply isn't there anymore. You're not broken, you're not behind, you're not missing anything. You're remembering. And that remembrance is enough, more than enough. So exhale, deeply. Let the pressure fall away. Let the seeking rest. The illusion only had power because you believed you were separate, but you never were. You were always home. And now, as the veil softens and the silence grows more alive, you'll notice the truth was never hidden. It was simply quiet, waiting for the moment you were ready to hear without needing answers. Welcome back to yourself. Let the illusion dissolve. And just be. There are many ways to awaken your inner vision, but none as ancient, as pure, or as quietly powerful as the breath. Before words, before thought, before fear, there was breath, and it has always known the way home. Each breath is a key, not a metaphorical one, but a living invitation to remember. When you breathe with intention, with reverence, with presence, the gateways begin to open not outward, but inward. You don't need to climb. You don't need to chase. You only need to breathe. In the old ways, there was a ritual. Simple, quiet, sacred, 7 breaths, nothing more, nothing less. And with each breath, something in you shifts, softens, returns. Inhale 1. Receive light not from above, but from within. Let it fill you. Let it warm the places you forgot were cold. Exhale 1. Release illusion, the noise, the doubt, the expectation. Let it dissolve, not as failure, but as freedom. Inhale 2. Remember what is already awake in you, the ancient knowing, the childlike trust, the eye behind the eyes. Exhale 2, let go of who you thought you had to be, the striving, the proving, the masks. They were never yours. Inhale 3. Welcome the stillness, the kind that doesn't demand, doesn't judge, just is. Exhale 3, surrender control. Not because you're giving up, but because you're returning to flow. Inhale 4, feel the connection not as theory, but as sensation. Between you and the field around you, between your heartbeat and the rhythm of the stars. Exhale 4, release separation. The idea that you're alone, the fear that you're not enough. Let it melt. Inhale 5, embrace your inner space. The sacred temple of breath, of body, of spirit. Exhale 5, empty the mind's noise. Let the silence speak. Inhale 6, open to guidance not from outside, but from the whisper within. Exhale 6, bow to the unknown. Trust its intelligence. Inhale 7, stand in your truth, not the loud one, but the silent knowing that needs no defense. Exhale 7, seal the ritual. Let it settle into your bones. You don't have to do this perfectly. This is not performance. This is remembrance. The power is not in the technique, it's in your presence, in your choice to show up to yourself fully and softly. When practiced with intention, these 7 breaths awaken more than clarity, they restore your natural perception. They realign your senses with what was never lost, only muted. Let this be your ritual, your gentle way of returning, not to a belief system, but to your own body, your own truth, your own inner eye, now blinking open again. Just 7 breaths, and the veil thins, the light returns, and so do you. This path you're walking, it's not one of acquisition. It's not about collecting more knowledge, gaining more steps, or building yourself into something new. No, it's quieter than that, truer than that. What's unfolding now is remembrance. You are not learning how to awaken. You are remembering what it feels like to be fully alive, fully aware, fully you. This knowing, it lived in you before the world taught you to doubt it. Before someone told you that silence was empty, that wonder was childish, that intuition couldn't be trusted. There was a time, perhaps in your childhood, Perhaps in a moment between thoughts when you looked at the world and felt it breathing with you. The wind wasn't just whether it was whisper. The moon wasn't distant, it was watching. Everything glowed with a quiet kind of sacredness, and you felt part of it, not separate, not lost, but whole. Then came noise, expectations, systems, a need to fit in, to be logical, to explain away what couldn't be seen. You didn't mean to forget, but you did. And now, in this very moment, something in you is stirring. Not because you're finally figuring it out, but because you're letting yourself feel again. You're returning to that place that never really left, just waited for your eyes to soften, your breath to slow, your heart to open. This remembering doesn't come with fanfare. It won't announce itself. It comes in a sigh, in a pause, in the stillness after a sentence when you suddenly know it was meant for you. It comes as resonance, not proof. As peace, not explanation. And the beauty of it is this: every time you remember, even for a breath, you come home. You don't have to hold it forever, just feel it now. Let it be enough. You're not behind, you're not broken. You've simply been immersed in a world that praises forgetting. But forgetting isn't failure, it's just part of the journey. So as you move through your day, your rituals, your life, notice the moments that feel strangely familiar. The words that echo something deep in you. The dreams that don't feel like fantasy, but like memory. These are not coincidences. They are fragments of your truth returning. The awakening isn't in what you're adding to yourself. It's in what's falling away. The layers, the noise, the armor. Beneath it all, you are whole. You're not here to learn who you are, you're here to remember. And in that remembering, everything changes, without force, without effort, just presence. Let that be enough. Let you be enough. There is something surrounding you now, not empty space, not silence, but a field, a living intelligence. It doesn't speak in language, but it listens. It doesn't move in straight lines, but it responds to everything you are becoming. This field is not watching to judge. It's not asking you to be perfect. It's waiting for one thing: your resonance, your alignment, your quiet, undeniable signal that says, I remember. When you begin to soften, to return to presence, to drop beneath the noise, you send out a ripple. You don't have to shout. You don't have to convince. The energy shifts because you've shifted. And the field, this sacred space around you, shifts with you. You might have noticed it already. How the world feels different after a moment of clarity. How certain people drift closer or further without explanation. How opportunities arrive, not when you chase them, but when you're at peace. This isn't coincidence, it's coherence. You're not manipulating reality, you're becoming harmonious with it. The ancient ones knew this. They didn't control nature, they listened to it. They didn't fight the invisible, they danced with it. They understood the field was not separate from the self. It was a mirror, a reflection, a sacred partner. And so, the real work isn't to change the world. It's to become so clear, so quiet, so fully rooted in who you are that the world can't help but respond. The laws that guide the universe, vibration, rhythm, polarity, correspondence, they're not rules to follow. They're invitations. When you're aligned with them, you don't have to force your way forward. You flow. You've felt this before, haven't you? The effortless moment when everything just seemed to click. When someone said exactly what you needed to hear. When time slowed. When a song or a sign appeared at the perfect moment. That's the field responding. That's sacred alignment. And you don't have to earn this connection. You are this connection. The field recognizes your essence even when you've forgotten it. Your only task is to show up honestly. Breathe deeply, feel fully, and let your truth ripple outward. The truth is, you've never been alone in this. The field has always been with you, not to lead you, but to move with you. As you remember, as you realign, as you speak the silent language of the soul, it listens. It echoes. It amplifies. You are not a separate being lost in the dark. You are a pulse in the great pattern, a note in the sacred song. And every time you come into alignment through breath, through stillness, through honesty, the universe responds, not because you asked, but because you are. There are moments when the silence feels endless, when the space between you and the world grows wide and cold. You've stood in that place, haven't you? Wondering if you were the only one feeling this way, sensing something deeper, dreaming of something more, but unable to name it. Let me say this now, clearly and gently. You were never alone. What you've been walking is not a random path. It's an ancient trail, hidden beneath the noise of modern life, but worn smooth by countless souls before you. Those who remembered, those who came awake, and they left you signs not loud, not obvious, but clear to the part of you that knows how to see. Have you felt the pull toward the crescent moon? Seen the numbers 777 echo again and again? Heard a voice that wasn't a voice, guiding you not in words, but in knowing? These are not oddities. They are fingerprints, reminders, signals from others who walked this very way and from your own soul, calling you forward. Even your feelings of being different, of not fitting in, of sensing more than others, these are not flaws. They are markers, indicators that you were built for something else. Not better, just tuned to a different frequency. And you are not the only one. Across this earth, across time, there are others like you quietly remembering, slowly waking, longing not just for answers, but for recognition. Longing to feel seen, not by the world, but by something deeper. And when they hear a word that resonates, when they feel a presence in a still moment, when they realize someone else has felt what they feel, something sacred unlocks. This is soul recognition. It's why this message has found you. Not to teach, but to remind. Not to isolate, but to connect. Because your journey, as solitary as it's felt, has never been walked alone. The field knows you. The signs know you. And those strange, tender instincts you've always carried, they know the way home. You're being called, not just into your own awakening, but into a collective remembrance. A soul community not bound by language or place, but by vibration. There is no leader, no dogma, just recognition, resonance, return. And so, the next time you feel out of place, or too much, or too sensitive, remember this. Someone else is looking at the same sky, feeling the same call, following the same light. You don't have to find them, just keep remembering. And you will meet not by accident, but by alignment. You were never meant to walk this world blind. You were never meant to feel unseen. Every sign you've received, every whisper you've followed, it all led you here. You are not alone. You never were. You simply hadn't remembered yet. There's a shift that happens not loud, not dramatic, but complete. A turning of the soul toward something it had always known but dared not name. And when it happens, you see. You see not with the eyes, but with the knowing behind them. And once you see, you cannot unsee. The veil doesn't return. The silence isn't empty. The world remains the same, but you do not. You no longer chase. You no longer grasp. Because what you sought was never lost, it was waiting quietly within you. This is not the end of the journey, but it is a homecoming, a quiet return to the center of yourself, a recognition you were never broken, never separate, never alone. So now, with your vision awakened and your presence deepened, walk gently. Not because the world demands it, but because your soul chooses it. Let the light remain. Let the remembering settle. Let the breath be enough. Now you see. And that is enough. Welcome home.